Hey maggots, and welcome to our holiday cooking series. Now, hopefully you're gonna find this both informative and entertaining, kind of like our show, except for the part when Dawn talks. We call that filler. So here's the idea. Whether you've been doing this forever or you've never done it, entertaining and cooking for groups of people is intimidating to everyone and nerve-wracking. Even people like me that have been doing it for 25 years. It's exhilarating, but you're still anxious and nervous. You want to get everything right. If you're a novice, if you're nervous, if you've never hosted before, I promise you, if you follow my recipes and instructions, everything's going to be fine. Now, if you're a little more advanced, make it fun. That's what cooking is all about. Take my recipes and go, I think this would make Rob's recipe a little better. I want to try this. All of my recipes came from someone else's ideas and then I added to them. That's the fun of cooking. Also, keep in mind, if you see me cooking for, say, servings of 2 or 4, and you're like, wait a minute, I have to serve 12 people, just triple everything. Also, if you get overwhelmed by the measurements, Google is fantastic at helping you with the conversions. Another trick, if you're using an oven and you only have one oven, remember, if you put more than one thing in that oven, everything cooks slower. And finally, remember the most important thing about having fun when you're cooking: alcohol. Let's cook. Hey maggots, time for the next installment of our holiday cooking videos, and for this one I've brought in my sous chef,
Hello.
Christina, the fiance, future wife person. Before we do anything, as I've taught you, you have to be well lubricated as a chef.
Well,
Today's drink of choice, cognac iced tea for me.
fruit water for me.
Boring. Today we're gonna make creamy mashed potatoes. Now here's what you're gonna need to make the mashed potatoes. First, potatoes. This is a fairly obvious ingredient. Yukon Golds, yellow potatoes. Don't use russet potatoes, like baking potatoes. They're too starchy, they'll be sticky and gross and they'll be lumpy. You can use red potatoes if you want. I just like yellow golds. You're gonna need some half and half. We're gonna need some cream cheese. That's the secret ingredient, as you'll find out. Butter in 2 forms. You're gonna want it in 1/3 of a cup, and then you're gonna want it in a 2 tablespoon size, which we'll go over later. White pepper for seasoning. Of course, you're gonna need some measuring cups. I use a scale, a kitchen scale, that we're about to show you why you need that. You do need also a potato peeler so that you can actually peel the potatoes, and another secret weapon, the potato masher. This is very important. Now, the potato masher has multiple meanings. First of all, this is a potato masher, and this is a potato masher.
Yep.
That's her favorite job.
My primary job.
Mash the potato.
I get all my anger out of the potatoes.
All right, so first things first, we already have a pot of water on the stove that's starting to boil. We didn't think that we actually needed to show you how to boil water. If you're already lost, I'd suggest that you click out and maybe call Boston Market and just order some mashed potatoes from them. If you're still with us though, it's time for the first step of peeling the potatoes. That's a sous chef's job. So, Christina,
Yes?
if you would please get us 2 pounds
Oh, I've never used this thing, babe.
of mashed potatoes, give or take 2 pounds, and begin peeling them. Here's the formula for how much you make. It's basically half a pound of food for every guest. So obviously if we were cooking for Thanksgiving, we'd be making like, what is the math? 10 pounds of mashed potatoes if you were gonna have 20 people over. But we're gonna make a small batch here today and we'll just eat them throughout the weekend and all that. That's 1.4, that's not 2
Yes.
pounds. And you can use that formula, by the way, with everything that you serve, the meat, the vegetables, etc. Why aren't you peeling?
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be, I thought you were gonna tell me go. Ready, set, go.
Go. Do you want a paper
I'd rather
plate?
have a paper plate,
To put the peels on. And I love to use paper plates because there's first of all, I hate the environment. So anything I can do to put more garbage into landfills, I love knowing I'm doing that. Plus, this way we don't have to clean up as much afterwards. So I'm gonna assemble the ingredients that we're gonna need onto paper plates and bowls that we're gonna be dumping into the potatoes later. That way they're ready to go. One of the big mistakes I see cooks at home make is they just got everything thrown around and then it's time to get everything into the pot or whatever and they're scrambling to measure stuff, and it's so much easier. Just pick up the bowl and dump it in. So first things first, we gotta get our cream cheese ready. This is what makes these things super duper creamy. This is an 8-ounce block of cream cheese and we're gonna cut it in half to get 4 ounces of cream cheese. Woo! Oh, I did it. Use this for later. Make bagels the next morning. 1/4 cup of half and half. And you can just throw all this stuff in the same bowl because it's all going in to the potatoes at the same time when it's time. White pepper. I know what you're thinking. First of all pepper matters, yes. Second of all, what's the difference? Well, first of all, I don't like a bunch of black specks in my creamy white mashed potatoes. Also, white pepper does have a unique flavor and a unique taste that really brings out the mashed potatoes. So that's why I suggest go out, buy white pepper. If you only use it at Thanksgiving, it keeps forever. A teaspoon of white pepper, ready to go. By the way, that's close enough. I don't even usually use measuring spoons and cups. I do it all by the eyeball. But just for you people, I'm trying to show you what I use.
You people.
Then we have the 1/3 of a cup of butter. Now remember, we also have the 2 tablespoons of butter. We're saving that for later. Don't screw that up. Just the 1/3 of a cup will also go in with the butter and the cream. Well, it is the butter. Goes in with the cream cheese and the 1/2 and 1/2. So that's ready to go. That's ready to go. By the way, you'll also notice as I cook, I like to clean as I go so there's not a giant tsunami left behind for my beautiful bride-to-be to have to clean up. So, garbage. All right, that's in the garbage. All right, now what we're going for with the potatoes is you want to basically cut them into quarters. The reason for this is they will cook quicker in the boiling water and it'll make them easier to mash. So just do that. Quarters means 4 cuts. You know, like 4 quarters in $1. That's all we're gonna do to every one of them. We're gonna set them aside as we cut them because the water's not ready to boil yet and we wanna put them all in at once. Now, if you're doing this ahead of time, you can take peeled and cut potatoes, you can put them in some cold water, and that way they won't get all brown and mushy, and you can save them for hours that way. Put them in the fridge cover if you wanna wait that long. They're not gonna be exposed to oxygen long enough for me to worry about it right now, even though my assistant's taking her time with the next potato. So I will, oh, thank you, how magical was that? That's the magic of Hollywood right there. Or Sacramento, or wherever the hell we are. Notice I'm demonstrating the proper cutting technique by actually sliding the knife and then keeping my hand over it and holding onto the potato on both sides so that everything goes straight and down and nothing goes flying, and I keep the vegetable in question in constant control. So I'm rolling all over the place. Now this is not proper knife technique. What I'm doing right here, this is very dangerous. And the water's boiling, so we're gonna be able to go right over to the pot with our mashed potatoes now. Now this can be a dangerous proposition for people that are stupid. There's a few different ways you can do this. A lot of people will just take them and throw them in one by one. That's dumb because then boiling hot water shoots up at you. Other people will take the whole plate and just dump it in, same problem. Boiling hot water shoots up at you or runs off, maybe falls on the ground, hits the dog, scalds it, then you're going to the vet. Nobody wants to do that. So, just take the plate, slowly dump it in, and let them roll off gently into the water. Notice how nothing splashed out. Now we're gonna boil these for about 20 to 30 minutes. What I do is I like to go over here to my previously established ghetto appliance. Thank you, Facebook, for letting me know that we have a shitty kitchen. I'm gonna set the timer, and for some reason I have this OCD thing. I always like to set it with the exact same number repeated. So I said 20 to 30 minutes. We're gonna set it for 22 minutes and 22 seconds. Hit the timer, and then we'll come back and check on them and see how soft they are, and we'll show you the next step after that. All right, we can see from my annoying ghetto-ass microwave timer that it's been 22 minutes and 22 seconds. Now I know for, shut up! I know for a fact that the potatoes are in fact tender enough. If you're not sure, you can take a fork and you can poke them into the potato, but I know that they're tender enough. So what we have to do now is we have to get them out of the boiling water. We're gonna turn the heat all the way down to low for the next step. Let's go drain the potatoes at my ghetto-ass white sink. This is a very difficult process. You pour, water goes out, don't burn yourself, no splashing of the hot water. And then right back into the exact same pot after you get rid of most of the water. You can leave a little bit of it in there. You can already see those are nice and crumbly. They're gonna be easy to mash. Next step, back to the stove. And call over your Sous Chef! Sous Chef! Masher. And your little baby step stool.
I gotta put my muscle into it, and I don't want to burn my armpits. So
What?
you don't want to burn your armpit.
This is how you get your leverage.
Yep. Oh, I do need a pot. No, that's fine.
So the idea now is to mash them, just mash them. So she's gonna mash and mash and mash. It's all a sight and feel thing. And she's an expert masher, so she'll know when to stop. Look at all the steam being released, that's very important, which we'll explain in a moment. Wouldn't that be easier if you were on the top step?
I don't. Oh, cause you're the worst. All right, let the steam escape for a little bit.
Oh, I see you're taking over the whole video now.
Well, I'm.
By the way, if you're actually,
This is where I'm an expert.
if you're actually gonna let the steam escape, then stop playing with it.
I know.
Letting the steam get out makes for creamier mashed potatoes when we actually add in the other ingredients that we're about to add in. It's usually about 30 to 60 second process. It's never gonna stop steaming, but we're just letting all the excess steam get out of there. So, next step, the steam has escaped. Now comes, remember how we got this ready earlier? This is our cream cheese, our 1/3 cup of butter, and our 1/2 and 1/2, 1/4 of a cup that we got ready. That just gets dumped right in there, out of there. And remember we have our secret teaspoon of white pepper, all pepper matters. In it goes. And now that gets mashed again so that we blend all the flavors. Sous Chef? Mash, mash, and mix. Max and mash and mix, mash and mix. Oh, do you think those are done? Or are you
I
asking
think
me to
so.
chef?
I'm asking for quality control.
All right. Heat goes off. Let me dip a finger in there. Don't be afraid to dip your finger in other people's food. Now you may have noticed at no time did we use salt. In the boiling water, there was about a quarter of a cup of salt, which always makes the water boil better into a roll. Also, the white pepper has a little bit of salt in it as well. And so does the cream cheese. They don't need salt. I always serve them this way, and then because people can always add salt. There's nothing worse than serving something that's too salty. So I don't make them with any salt. There's a final step. You could serve them like this, but why? When you can bake them, get them a little crispy on top, and add a little bit more butter, because you can't have too much butter. And stop it, you health nuts. They're mashed potatoes. They're supposed to be creamy, for God's sakes, okay? So next step, get rid of this thing. Now I love these things. These are silicone baking things. They're so non-stick. Nothing sticks to them. They're so easy to clean. So then we're just gonna dump the potatoes in here. Then we're gonna spread these out. And again, if you're making for a lot more people, you can use a bigger pan. You don't have to use one of these pans. You can use a glass baking tray, anything that goes in the oven and can withstand up to 400 degrees, or you could use a few of these at a time. Then, remember that 2 tablespoons of butter we had before? Kids, don't try this at home. We're just gonna cut this into a couple of slices, or slabs. And then now you can do this one of 2 ways. I like to push the butter into the potatoes. Other people put it on top. Those people are wrong. Because we're trying to dispense more buttery goodness throughout the potatoes. It's that simple. Then, into the oven, 350 degrees. Notice the ghetto oven again. Oh my God, who could possibly cook good food in that thing? And now, back to the timer. And remember, I like similar digits, so we're going 14 minutes, 44 seconds. That'll be close enough to 15 minutes till we check them again. Ghetto Microwave says the timer's done. Potatoes have been in at 350 for 15 minutes. Oh yeah, the butters are melted in. Look at that butter. Oh yeah. Now, we're gonna take it, we're gonna stir it up, mix it up. Oh yeah, now look, if you think this is gonna be greasy when they're done, you're wrong, because we're gonna put it back into the oven and let all that buttery gooiness, good, oh God, gonna cook right in. All right, now, back in the oven. You have a few choices at this point. Some people, at this point, like to get it brown on top of the mashed potatoes. You have a couple choices if you want to do that. I just increased the oven temperature to 400 degrees. For me, I'm gonna cook it for another 10 minutes and then they're ready to go and serve. You could go 15, 20 minutes to really brown them up. You could also broil them if you wanted to get a crispness. I don't like that for mashed potatoes. We're not serving potatoes au gratin. So I would suggest for another 10 minutes at 400 degrees and they're good to go. Which means we have to set the timer on the Ghetto Microwave. Now for 10 minutes, here's what I like to do, 888, because me and my number fetish. That's close enough to 10 minutes. We'll be ready by then. Mix that all together, serve, perfect mashed potatoes.